All right, I wanted to put this quick video together because I thought it had some value and I wanted to share my experience with you. So, over the holiday weekend, it was the 4th of July, and we had a family gathering at a relative's house. And the homeowner loves to entertain, and she has a great backyard to do so. Beautiful in-ground pool, plenty of seating, a lot of areas for gathering and having great conversation. And we had great cookout food and beverages, and we got to see family that we hadn't seen in a while. So this particular homeowner loves to decorate her backyard with very festive artwork, and for whatever occasion that she's celebrating, she's very festive. And this one particular piece that I have up on my screen now that you can see is it's basically a wooden cutout of the sun with a pair of sunglasses, and it's layered up, with individual pieces. And it was quite the conversation starter at the party. A lot of people enjoyed it, and they wanted to know more about it. So, of course, me being a woodworker, I had to inspect it, right? I'm like, how was this made? What kind of joinery was used? What kind of paint? So, upon inspection, it's obviously that it's very basic. And I'm being very sensitive about that word basic because I don't want to offend the person that made it, because the person that made it, they put their time and effort into making this particular piece. And the overall design, I believe, was intended to look very basic, but yet have an impact, right? So that made me think about, let me just run through, what I've discovered, inspecting this piece. It's made out of 1/2 inch plywood, and it's, like I said, you have 4 cutouts, and they're layered up on top of each other, and not a lot of attention, which probably is by design, in terms of, breaking the edges and sanding and making everything symmetrical. As you can see, nothing is really symmetrical on the back of the sun with the sun flares. And the paint scheme is very basic yet deliberate. So you can appreciate this piece of art because it's very simple, but yet something about it that it's eye-catching, right? So it made me think about how, I approach a project and what the overall intent of the project is. Is it going to be a basic finish, or is it going to be a complicated finish, with complicated joinery? So what I'm going to do is break this down, try to duplicate this with modern technology on my CNC, and purposely with the intent of the overall outcome of the project resembling this piece that it was hand cut, making it look like a basic construction. All right, so I have Carbide Create pulled up, which is the design space I use for my CNC. And these are very simple shapes, all contour cutouts. And I went in and made a few changes on the design, but overall it's pretty much the same shape of the one I'm designing this after. So I have it exploded right now to be on one sheet of, I think this is 18 by 24 sheet of plywood, but I can go ahead and show you what I'm trying to do here. So this is one cutout, and this is another cutout, and this is the way the original is designed, where it's pretty much layered up with different cutouts. And then you get the sunglasses, which again go on top of the circle, and then this heart shaped cutout goes somewhere around there. And if you remember from the let me try to pull it up. If you remember from this one, there's some sort of vegetation behind it. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm not sure if I'm going to include that in there. But as you can see, it's somewhat similar. And I specifically went in and edited the nodes to kind of give me some of these rough shapes around there, so it's not like a perfect refined cut. That's not what I'm looking for. I want it to look like it was somewhat cut by hand, either on a jigsaw or a scroll saw. So as you can see, I have it just laid out where I'll cut all the pieces I need for 2. And these will end up being overall width about 10 inches wide. And in this one, I took a little bit of a license liberty, and on the second one, the sunglasses are slightly a different shape than the original ones, the one that I modeled it after. So these was just slightly, I thought it'd be interesting to have two of the same shapes, you know, wearing two different types or style of sunglasses. So that's what I'm going for. So let's move on to setting up the machine, and I'm using a 1/4 inch end mill for this job. I don't need anything smaller, and it should take roughly around 30 minutes to cut out all the shapes to make 2 wall pieces. Let's get to it. All right, I have my cam file loaded up, and I'm about to kick it off. It's about 95 degrees in the shop today, so. Okay, all right, let's see what we got. I did break off the tabs and cleaned it up a little bit. And let's see what we have here. Okay, so I guess what I'll do now is take some sandpaper. And this is like crappy plywood, so I did have some chip out already from the router, so which is fine. I expected that. And again, this is gonna be like, I gotta rough it up now. I have to, you know, scuff it up and make things not so perfect to try to capture that essence that it was hand built, hand cut, which is an art form all in itself. All right, let me get to it. And I'm not sure what kind of finish is on here. Looks like there's some sort of finish. We'll scuff that up because I am gonna paint this and put it together. All right, let me get to it. All right, I didn't want to bore you with the details and sanding, but I used heavy grit sandpaper, 40 grit, and a rasp, and I went to town. And as you can see, I got a little fancy, and I put some carvings in there, but nothing too polished, just random gouges. And what I'm going to do next is just sand the faces of these pieces and get them ready for paint. Okay, I did some rough final sanding, and I did apply a base coat of color to the pieces. And as you can see, I went very light. I thinned out the color, and because I wanted the wood grain to show through. And I also did it with a very coarse brush because I wanted that swooping effect. So what I'm going to do is now backfill it with my airbrush and put some solid color on it, just shadowing. And I'm replicating it from the main piece, which is basically weather worn, you know, like almost like the paint is fading away. So that's the effect I'm trying to go after. And I think I'm all set with these guys right here, these pieces. I went very light, and I just used a spray can paint, and I went very light with the application, so you can see some of the grain and wood tone showing through the paint. So I think I'm going to leave those alone. I'm going to focus on the round circles and the sun. All right, so I think I accomplished what I set out to do, was to mimic or replicate the original piece, keeping it simple, not too complicated, but maybe this will be a great conversation starter at one of my get-togethers. So I guess the last thing I'll do is put some protection on it, a couple of coats of polyurethane, possibly, and then drill some holes and hang some rope, and then hang it from a fence post. Okay, thanks for watching, and as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.